Lottie Dottie, Silicon Steve Valley, and we are on the precipice of Clash in the Castle. Will Drew McIntyre walk out your new world champion? Will Bayley and Piper Niven tear the house down? Will Chad Gable finally overcome and get his first singles title? And will Cody Rhodes make AJ quit within 20 minutes or 25 minutes? And another match, too.
Hi, Sponsor Cheap Pops. You're on the air.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your best Clash at the Castle preview you're going to see on the damn internet, because we are the very best on the internet. It is that simple. I tell you all the time. One of the fastest growing channels the last 2 months you'll ever say, and we keep on pushing it. Lottie Dottie, are you ready for Scotland? Clash at the Castle, Glasgow, Roddy Piper's work, hometown. I'm excited. Are you going to be able to watch it at all live on Saturday? Or are you going to catch it later?
I will probably catch it later and probably watch a little Braveheart to get in the mood, and then segue on over to Clash at the Castle and really enjoy it. But I probably won't watch it live. I'll catch it probably later on Saturday night, and especially there's a couple of matches that have piqued my interest, especially the Intercontinental Championship and the championship match with McIntyre.
Yeah, we can't get in. We're going to do those two last. By the way, I never questioned if Piper was from Glasgow when I was younger, and now that I'm older, he had a blatant Canadian accent, like blatant. How the hell are you telling me he's from Glasgow? I always wondered why he didn't have more of an accent. But either way,
well, we saw the kilt, heard the bagpipes, and we're like, yeah, makes sense.
It works enough. Hey, we know Duke the Dumpster Josie was really a garbage man, so.
He wasn't. But yeah, so that's where we're at with this this pay-per-view, or this was it PLE is the term?
We can call it whatever. It's still a pay-per-view to me, John.
Yeah.
It's still real to me. By the way, we already recorded the first four matches. Well, I'm sorry, we already went through the first four matches, folks, for full disclosure. And somebody didn't hit record. So we have to do it over. But we didn't do the best part, so that's going to be a little organic, but we'll do our best here to run through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all good. And with that, let's start off as we did previously, where we are going to lead off with the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match, which just so happens to be a triple threat. We got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, who's the champions, against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, or Isla Dawn, I'm not sure, which
the
is
witches
really voting well.
Spooky,
They're witches.
Spooky witches cauldron. Oh God, their shit on NXT made me want to vomit. They were in front of a cauldron. What am I, 10 years old again? Christ's sake. Gimmicks like that don't get over on the main roster, for the record, everybody. So I think they kind of dropped it looked like. But anyway, I mean, as we both, I think we go, Jade and Bianca is not losing anytime soon. So they're going to be my pick. Even though I'll say that Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark should have a great match with them, and I could see them beating them at some point, because I think they have their moveset, and I think the way they carry themselves is indicative of something that could feasibly beat them. But won't probably happen until, I think, is this in the first part, when Jade turns on Bianca.
Yeah,
and we'll get that at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm with you. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill probably will spin off to a feud with Shayna and Zoe Stark. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm there, man. And honestly, I mentioned in pre-production too, like Bianca Belair and Jade are so dynamic together. Like, this is really good for Jade, and
protects her too.
Protects her absolutely, because she's learning from one of the best. So. Yeah. I kind of hope that they don't just go and look to split them up immediately. I wouldn't mind having them do over a year run as a tag team here, honestly.
I think WrestleMania they'll be facing each other next year's WrestleMania. So I don't know a year is going to happen, but I mean, even if in the women's division, if you hold the title for 6 months, you did something right.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just like there's through tag team history, there's been certain tag teams that set their mark, and I always think of like the Road Warriors. And there's that air of dominance that they had. And not that they were the greatest at matches and all that, but you know what? They were believable. And
there were
now
a lot of
with
great tag
these,
teams that made them stars, that helped make them stars, though. And I don't know if you have that
definitely.
division right now. That's where someone like
Yeah.
Starks and Baszler could come in.
Baszler, yeah, absolutely. And then they sort of, they help each other. And that I think we're on the verge of maybe something like that, but we'll see. But for this at the Clash at the Castle, I'm definitely on Team Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill here. So the next, let's do the WWE Women's Championship match between Bayley and Piper Niven. If you don't mind, I'll go first. Just making it short and sweet. I'm going with Bayley because it's not her time to lose just yet. But Piper will have a hell of a memory for sure.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. I think Bayley wins this one as well. But as I said in our first run, I think that Piper Niven, particularly with Chelsea Green as her mouthpiece and her kind of sidekick, even though Chelsea's as entertaining as anybody in that division, I think that could really make her a major player in the main event scene. However, I will say I wouldn't mind them going back to the tag team title scene either. I thought they were two of my favorite. They were probably my favorite women's tag team champions of all time at this point in time. To be honest with you, I love them, but I'm a big mark for both Chelsea and Piper.
They're both really talented, and Chelsea is great on the microphone. Her facials are awesome, like when she's doing her interviews and stuff, and just the way she interacts with different wrestlers in the locker room to management itself, and she's this incredible Karen sort of personality, and It works. It just works, even though she's not older or anything. It just her attitude and how she approaches things, and it really reads well. So, and then for her to have somebody as talented as Piper with her sort of legitimizes her, and I wouldn't break up those two for a while, honestly. I like what's going on there.
Yeah, and they seem like they have a good friendship this time, where they first was kind of like Piper just wanted to be the tag team champion. So again, both very, very talented. I think I would like to see Chelsea have a world title run though at some point within the next year or two, because she's not old in terms of what we think, but in terms of women in wrestling, she's not young either. So we see women, maybe not anymore at Triple H's, but we've seen women have been forgotten sometimes when they get a certain age in WWE. So
they're not attractive, pal.
They're not young, blonde, and attractive with big boobs, and I can't shit on them.
Jesus.
Hey, verbally, like shit all over them because they're not attractive. What do you think I meant?
I don't know.
You and your potty brain, sir. But yeah, Bayley. That bit might have been better than the first one. That might have been better than the first time we previewed that match. So I'm feeling good about that one.
That's good. Let's line up the next one. We're going to go with the undisputed WWE Championship. It's an I Quit match versus two former Bullet Club members. And Cody Rhodes, who's the champion, against AJ Styles, who faked us all out with his best Mark Henry impersonation with his pseudo retirement. Cody fell for it hook, line, and sinker like
Suto with that cheesy blue suit he was wearing.
It was a nice one. It was powder blue, man. I appreciated it.
How did the 70s style come back in suits? How did that happen? They were the most tackiest, worst looking freaking things, and now everyone's wearing plaid and powder blue. How is that attractive? But anyway.
It works.
It does not work. It looks stupid. Sorry.
Listen, when people think fashion, they think you and I, so they're totally entertained with this conversation right now.
Well, I'm wearing black because it's slimming.
Gray because it was clean.
Well, I don't think, again, this is going to be a great match, and it's going to be probably honestly, in terms of bell to bell, will probably be the best match on the night because AJ doesn't seem like he's capable of having a really bad match. And Cody is very good. Cody is great. He's like a Cena. When he's with somebody that is a 10 performer, Cody can have a 10 match. So with that said, we know Cody's not losing to AJ Styles. I'm not sure where AJ and his two buddies. We did shit on Gallows and Anderson a little bit last content, but I don't feel like doing it again. I don't know where AJ and the OC in general with Gallows and Anderson go after this. But there's no way Cody Rhodes loses this match to AJ Styles at all. And AJ will be screaming the words, "I quit."
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Cody, there's no way Cody loses. He's just adding to the resume at this point, but it's going to be a good feud for his world title reign so far. Like what happened in Lyon, France was, pretty magical. It was a good match. Now they're following this up again here in Europe. And you know what? It should be something to like basically have in our memory banks for the near future, at least, as you mentioned earlier. So I agree with that too. So with that being said, why don't we take a little stroll over to the WWE Intercontinental Championship match between champion Sami Zayn against everybody's favorite leader of the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable.
All right. Well, I believe Chad Gable is going to win his first singles championship. I think he resigns with WWE. The work he has done and the body of work, he's been with WWE for over a decade at this point. The body of work this kid has shown to become as big of a star as he is, giving bad gimmick after bad gimmick, long hair, ready, willing, and Gable. Shorty G, and he even the beginnings of the Alpha Academy was kind of a joke, and he made it work with Otis. They both made it work, and now he has had a shift in his character from being an annoying heel to a courageous babyface, now to a devious heel and a real player in the singles division. And I think he wins his Intercontinental title. And also, I don't think Triple H loves having people lose titles just willy-nilly like that, unless someone gets hurt like Rhea Ripley did. So I just have a feeling Sammy's one of the guys that can afford to lose a title that quickly. He's still over like we're over with the fans. He can still be a big part of what goes on. So those are the reasons why I went Chad Gable on that. How about you, Vladdy?
For similar reasons, his work has been incredible. And I've seen most of this rise even from NXT. I remember him trying to sell Jason Jordan on Ready, Willing, and Gable, and I'm like, what is this horse shit, really? And then you look at it and he was involved in some great tag matches, and I'm like, man, this kid's talented. Mm-hmm. Finally makes it to the main roster. And we had the old pervert there that just wanted to torture the guy and maybe just toy with his career. And luckily enough, he hung in there just long enough to see a positive day in a new regime that appreciates his skills and his talent. And honestly, we mentioned it earlier too, the crowd, the way they're reacting to him with the "You Sucks" chant, it might as well be Kurt Angle. And they're understanding the connection here. I wouldn't be surprised in the future when we see him lay out Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? So this is really something special, and I think this is the first step where he's going to have his major singles title. And honestly, the Intercontinental title is a great workers title, and that guy is an absolute great worker. You have a situation even through these steps in this storyline with Sammy and everyone involved has been awesome. Mm-hmm. And they've actually raised the level of Otis, where Otis is such on the verge of becoming such a huge baby face in this company. Mm-hmm. And again, it's great. It's just incredible. So we have all this going on. And as you mentioned, Sammy can afford the loss. And he's almost like, if he loses, he's a little bit of a martyr in ways. He basically, he was trying to do the right thing and then, just got upstaged. But he's still living for the next day, and he's going to do it his way.
Yeah. And again, I'm with you. I'm wondering, though, because we both think the Creed brothers are going to be finally put together. That would be the best way to do it. But I think Chad Gable wins first, and he's going to be really abusive towards Otis, and Otis is going to turn babyface either on a Raw over the next coming weeks. I think you're going to see probably a SummerSlam Chad Gable-Otis match. The question is, I can see Tozawa turning babyface as well, and Otis. I'm thinking Maxine Drake might be a wild card here because her skill set might be best to be a heel as a valet. Yeah. She can cut a promo when she was a heel. Now she's kind of being the damsel in distress babyface. Yeah, so I could see her still being with Gable when this is all said and done, and her actually turning heel. I could see that. Yeah. The only thing is part of Gable's story is that he's married with a kid, and I don't know. if that's what
Yeah,
happens.
but she's, it doesn't necessarily have to be, romantic, if you
That's
will,
true.
but maybe it's just her saying, oh, look, he became successful. And now, he's with not those losers, he's with the Creed brothers.
Yeah. Both are going with Chad Gable to win his first singles championship in WWE after a very, very long and not always an easy career. So, that's what I wanted to ask you. That's just not even what I asked you. I wanted to say what Chad Gable's getting, and then we can move on. Chad Gable's opposed to Angle. Chad Gable's getting legit heat. Like,
Yep.
people are hating what he's doing. And he's doing a great job where Angle got heat, and he was great, but also a lot of people liked him because he was kind of goofy.
Yeah.
He loved milk. He had the hat. It's true. It was kind of his version of the shoosh thing, but he was able to get over so much that he wound up winning a world. Vince woke up one morning, he's like, let's put the title on Kurt Angle. And then he had a nice little baby face run. And then, of course, he became a legend after that. But
Yep.
Gable's doing something, I think he's striking real anger, something that would make Bubba Ray proud, how much heat this guy's getting right now. Without a blowtorch. What a great line that was.
Thanks.
Did you catch the flamethrower?
Oh, yeah. That was the one way he was able to get any heat.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, his heat is real, is like true with the fans, because just the way he's getting in Otis's like face and just smacking him around, just bullying him, and then just talking down to her, and talking terrible to the other dude, man. It just you want to fucking hate this guy.
Wasn't it funny when he made Maxine read his criticisms of them all to Sami?
Yeah, that was where that turned for me. That whole this story just turned for me at that moment.
Yeah,
and I thought it was a great little way to handle it. And of course, he snuck attack him from behind. It was just perfect. And I'm like, oh, there's something to this one, man. And so this is, I've been most interested in this storyline, even more so than the current deal with the bloodline at this point, short of Heyman being directly involved. So
yeah, the bloodline's kind of at simmering right now. It's not moving it to a simmer. Yeah. It's not really boiling, if you want to even call it a simmer. I think it's struggling to get going, but that's a story for another time, which we'll get into on our next podcast. We'll be dropping early next week, Monday or Tuesday next week, if you are listening to this particular broadcast, as we get ready for Clash in the Castle. So what's next? I think Vladi Dottie, we only got one more left. I got to be honest with you. I think our second go with this might have been better than the first one. I don't know.
There's a good chance.
Oh man, but now, so we got through it, and now the pièce de résistance. Drew McIntyre going into his home country against Damian Priest. Lottie Dottie. I have a feeling this is the one that we're going to differ on, and you are the current Purple Nurple champion. Beat me soundly like a drum. I had a nice little two-month run just because I got lucky at WrestleMania. Thank you, Sami Zayn.
How many did I beat you by?
I forget. I was on vacation doing chemicals. So.
Oh, okay.
There's that. So I insured that one. You can insure it again if you want. You usually do that, but
no problem. So we got the World Heavyweight Championship match. It's champion Damian Priest against Silicon Steve Valley's personal man crush, Mr. DM Hunk Drew McIntyre.
I'm gonna let you go first, pal.
I am going with none other than Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. It's time. This is the reward, in my opinion. He needs to have this title. He does not lack star power. He's operating on a different level and has been since WrestleMania and previous to WrestleMania. So this is definitely his moment to shine. There's been a little bit of a vacuum where let's put it this way. I wouldn't say Cody has replaced Roman. It's a little different, right? We spun off. And at Raw now, not saying Davian hasn't been a decent champ, but honestly, is he the guy that you want to continue moving with this? My opinion's no. He got the title. That's something on his resume. Now it's time to solidify Drew McIntyre. give him the strap in front of the fans, in front of his hometown. And I understand he's a heel and everything, sort of the anti-hero in a lot of ways.
He's a baby face in my world.
Right. So it all depends on your personal angle with them. So I think it's time, and then it's going to lead to, of course, to a feud with CM Punk.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where we're heading there. Here's my thing though. I thought about it. First of all, you're in Scotland. You're in his home, and it literally his home. Probably grew up somewhere close to that venue. The Scottish crowd is going to go ape for Mr. McIntyre. He has worked it. He has earned it. He's gotten himself over to the point where I think eventually he will be a babyface. He's still, if you see him coming down, he's still slapping five with fans. So he's not turning on the fans unless they're turning on him.
Right.
And that was one of his mission statements when he first turned heel. Is like, if you're one of my fans, you'll always be a fan. You understand where I'm coming from. And I was like, I understand where he's coming from. I guess I'm a fan. Yeah. And then obviously all the fun he's been having at the expense of one Charles Montgomery Punk. With all that said, and it is time, he does deserve a nice world championship run. Here's where you're probably right. But I disagree, and I went with Damian Priest, and here's the reason. You're trying to make his title reign legitimate. Losing it this quickly, because he's not winning this title for a very long time after he loses it. He's just not. Too many people, too many stars. He's not that guy. I think, to your point, he hasn't been a great champion. I think he needs to, if you want to elevate him to a main event guy, he needs to win this match. And I think Triple H might know that. And I also don't know if Triple H would have had him win the title, even though it was such a great moment. So maybe that's what it is. He'll always have that amazing moment with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 40. But for me, I think they need to solidify him as a main eventer. And I picked all three Scottish cats to lose. So,
You're crazy.
Yeah, I think I screwed up. I probably should have picked Piper Niven on that, but then I would have lost both of them. So, but I'm probably crazy. You're probably right. And in retrospect, I think you need Damian Priest to have a better run than this. What does he have? One title defense?
The other thing,
Job center 2? I don't know.
The other thing, I think they basically have laid traction for this Finn Balor turn, because the whole Liv Morgan thing where she's with Dom, there's like inner turmoil within Judgment Day. I think they're going to implode Judgment Day, and that'll be a distraction for him to lose.
I disagree with that. I think Finn Balor has been a great lieutenant for him. He's been trying to look everybody out. Finn Balor's been a guy who's been trying to keep everything at bay. So for Priest, he's like, no, big man, I figured it out, big man. And it seems like Balor, his heart is in the right place for Judgment Day overall. And then you're also adding Carlito, it seems like, to the fray. The question that we posed a couple weeks ago, is it a possibility that the entire Judgment Day turns on Priest in this match? And has Drew McIntyre become one of the lead dogs there? With maybe Liv? I don't know. But we definitely know Dominic wasn't there at the end of Raw. He was in that hotel room with that hot Jersey girl.
But the thing is, Finn Balor's the one that took the hotel key card right before his match.
Finn and Liv. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's going to make Dominic a babyface, and that's not happening.
And what it makes is Finn a heel.
Interesting. Yeah. They've done a good job. I haven't cared a lot about the Judgment Day. I'm not going to lie to you.
The other reason I think this, too, is because when Damian Priest was out in the ring with McDonough and Balor against McIntyre at this most recent Raw, Priest put Finn on, basically in the match against McIntyre, and they had an interesting camera angle to Finn. He kind of looked like, are you almost like you're putting me against this guy, and it wasn't all like, oh yeah, boss, I'm going to go do this. It was like, So that with the hotel key card and him always getting involved and in between Dom and Liv, if you look at it, he's been the buffer. Why is he always involved? That's my thinking. So,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I will say that Finn didn't look happy, but he didn't look overall upset. He didn't sell it like he was upset about it either. I know that moment you were talking about, and I honestly forgot Baylor wound up keeping the key.
Yeah, that's my thinking. I think it's a little bit of an implosion happening.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's one of those that, I mean, how many times do we have these preview shows? And I pick a stupid pick. And then after we're done, I'm like, God, you're right. I'm going to lose this one. So it's probably the same thing. It didn't happen at WrestleMania, though, pal.
You'll always have WrestleMania.
It's pretty much all I'll have. It's been a joke. Well, that's because you're the reasonable one, right? All right. So the only difference is going to be the biggest match of the night. Drew McIntyre, you. And by the way, remember when I had my one run, I had a couple wins or maybe two or three wins in a row. I think it might have been 3. We'll call it 3 since I don't think it was. I think it was 2. But the reason I won is I kept on picking Drew McIntyre, and you kept on picking against Drew McIntyre. That's the sweet irony of this situation. So, Purple Nurple Champion, Vladi Dottie, this has been your Clash at the Castle preview, the premium live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, on WWE Network this week. So, definitely check it out. I'm probably going to be able to watch it live, and I'm sure my daughter will love watching it with me. Right, Evie?
Fuck off!
No, so yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it live. Triple H is really letting these pay-per-views kind of breathe a little bit. He's not overstocking them. I think how many matches at last AEW pay-per-view? I think there was like 12 or 13 or 14. Like, it's too long for one night. Way too fucking long. It's a joke. You can't have 12 matches.
You know what? You're killing the live crowd.
Yeah. And
all the energy is totally zapped from them. I hate the 5-hour events. I would not go. I like 3.5 hours would be great. No more than 4 for sure, including the pre-show.
Exactly. That's the whole part of it. Is that not only is it a 4-hour pay-per-view, you have an hour on a preview show, or an hour and a half. I think the last one was. Yeah. So for me, that's too long, and you're really putting a lot of pressure on your last 2 matches to absolutely throw the house down and get people motivated. Yeah. And especially their matches. It's not like their matches they go quick. A lot of the matches are they take their time to develop, and you're not on your feet the entire time. Yeah. So yeah, AEW really has to address that, but I digress. And they're 50-year-old wrestlers jumping off of steel cages.
What's the worst that could happen?
Oh boy. And that's the ironic part, because I saw an interview where Edge with Chris Van Fleet, give him a little shout out. He has a good show. Did a great interview with Christian too the other day. Christian kept it mostly in character, which is great, but he still was honest about a lot of things. And Edge said, "Yeah, I did a lot of stupid things I did when I was younger. I won't do them anymore." I'm like, 2 weeks later, he breaks his freaking leg jumping off the top of a cage. Oh well, is what it is. I guess NXT beat AEW this week. Not a surprise if you kind of saw what was going on, but the big surprise for me, Vladi, was that Cody and the TNA the TNA knockouts being there, the big battle royal to see who faces Trick Williams. This was a big show for them, and they really tried to put it in. They lost 8% of the viewership from the previous week. So it's not like NXT should be celebrating here. You know, they didn't stack it like John Cena, Undertaker, and Paul Heyman like the one time.
Right.
But, that's well, you got to kind of laugh with WWE when they say that AEW is not competition. And why do you do the things you do then? Why do you do certain things if they're not competition? I don't think they are competition, but for WWE to treat them like they're not, they treat them like they are, and say that they're not is a little whatever. But are they competition? No, they're not even close. But they're treating them like they are.
Yeah, I mean, they're competing with NXT, in my opinion. It's where it's at this point in terms of the numbers. If you look at the last few months.
If you look at the numbers, but if you look at the people watching, there's not. I don't think there's a ton of overlap between NXT and AEW.
No, it's different audiences for sure. But like I mentioned, eventually, was it this year? they'll be going from cable to the CW network, which is which is like the free TV. So, the number should actually grow, especially if, all of a sudden you having an Undertaker appear and, some of these other bigger names. But and we'll see what happens with the numbers then. But
it could be,
we'll talk about AEW later this week. But again, it's not that they're still like they went from being like having million viewers going, at one point to like 900 strong, and now we've gone backwards, and we haven't, other than a few short jumps here and there, haven't really seen impressive steady numbers.
Oh, not at all. They've been losing numbers. So I'm not suggesting by any stretch that the thing is AEW should just focus on putting on a good show. They're not competing with WWE. You're the alternative. Be the alternative.
Yeah,
fine, but I don't think there's competition at all. But I do think the way WWE treats them, you could see why people will think that they're competition, because again, WWE does a lot of the same things to this day that Vince used to always do and try to undercut the smaller guy. But I mean, Daddy Warbucks is right there waiting to buy every single free agent that built their name on WWE's television. So. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All's fair in love and war in professional wrestling, pal.
Listen,
all's fair in love and war. I don't know. That was Gorilla Monsoon used to say that.
Yeah, Tony Khan stepped over the line when he called Triple H and Shawn Michaels bald assholes. That was it. The gloves are off.
Was that the worst part? What if it was that worse? That was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad, but the Harvey Weinstein thing was a little rough.
That was the biggest one.
Those two were the ones. And then he threw shade. He's like, this is the first time John Cena and The Undertaker were ever on television without 1 million viewers. That was a stupid tweet, too, after NXT loaded up against AEW. Which, by the way, AEW loaded up against them, too. And it was a Tuesday night on their show because AEW got preempted by the NBA. But that was a stupid shade. You're going to throw stones at The Undertaker and John Cena? I mean, come on. Especially when neither one of them said anything bad about AEW. Like, they're not,
Yeah.
I know John Cena definitely didn't. Undertaker probably did. He's got a podcast now, and he just says whatever.
Undertaker actually spoke about Tony Khan and AEW today.
Oh, Jesus. What did he say?
We could find a quote real quick, actually. I'm not prepared with it. But it wasn't like... He didn't shit on him, but it was like stuff that we say. It's like,
I think he just shut up.
Yeah, he hopes they like survive. It's good for the wrestlers. It's good for the fans. But, he needs help, basically.
He does need help, and you would hope that it will be Scott D'Amore. I think a big part of our boy Will Ospreay coming out and saying Scott D'Amore would do wonders for AEW. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say that, but a guy that knows how to run a wrestling company, did it for over a decade. He could be the guy that helps Tony Khan just sharpen his shit up, because Tony is booking like he has no idea what he's doing. He just, like we said on our last show, I mean, he has all these titles just because he can't come up with good storylines. He just comes up with matches, and you need more than that. You get the best roster, as we've seen. You get the best roster like Vince McMahon had, the best roster for years, and he was putting out horrible show after horrible show because he was terrible at his job. Vince McMahon was a disaster of a booker the last decade and almost a decade and a half he was there. And the business is 10 times better since he left. And now he's not allowed there.
Can't even use the gym, pal.
That's my gym. That's my dumbbells.
I designed it. Sweated on it.
That's my intern. It's my paralegal.
Under federal investigation, seemingly now, Lottie. And Janelle Grant has paused her court, but I don't know enough about that to go too much into it. But we'll see. I think we haven't heard the last of all that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more shocks and surprises.
Wait, speaking of that, didn't you tell me? Didn't you tell me Jim Ross banged Missy Hyatt? Wow,
they were dating.
Wow. Good for... Who would have thought JR would be banging Missy Hyatt? If you look at JR, 1988, I actually been watching a lot of WCW. I think I told you this. I'm watching, just focusing mostly on the Midnight Express after they beat the Fantastics to win their second U.S. championship, and then they started going after the Horsemen and their organic babyface turn. Jim Cornette might have been doing his best work at this point in time, even as a babyface manager. He was just incredible. And then you're going to get into that, and then after they beat the Horsemen, which they eventually do, I think. Then shortly after, the Road Warriors turn on Dusty. The Road Warriors beat them for the tag team titles. And I remember when the LOD turned heel, it was a big deal to me at the time as well. But I digress. Really, really great stuff from that late 80s thing. So,
are you watching this on YouTube or like Peacock?
Oh, Peacock, yeah, it's on Peacock.
Okay.
But if you saw Jim Ross in like 1988, Jim Ross with Tony Schiavone, and you saw Missy Hyatt. You would never think that pudgy Southern boob would be able to get near Missy Hyatt's boobs.
And he did.
Well, hot stuff Eddie Gilbert must have checked out, and then it was all time for Jim Ross. It wasn't during like her peak time. It was like several years later, right?
No, it was like, it was more recent. It was like after Jim Ross's wife passed away.
Wow, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Jim Ross likes boobs. He can't help it.
I can't help it. I like boobs. Boobs are good. Tell you that. Penelope Ford's got blue eyes. I didn't know that.
Who said nice guys finish last?
Schiavone has been horrible, by the way. I think you convinced me on how bad Schiavone is.
Dude.
That thing with Taz. We'll get it. You know what? We can go on forever, Vladdy. I can't wait for our next podcast. That's going to be dropping early next week. We're going to get together Sunday night, and we're going to be dropping something. We can get into it. If you want, we could get into Schiavone real quick, but he is terrible. That thing with Taz was awkward and funny. And the funny part about that was, if you listen to an interview with Bobby the Brain Heenan from 2002, are you still there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. If you watch this interview with Bobby the Brain Heenan in 2002, he mentioned how Tony Schiavone thought he was cool and thought he was a know-it-all because he would know the finishes of matches before anyone else. And because Schiavone acted like he was cool because he was buddies with the bookers and what have you. Meanwhile, this is again 24 years later, or 20, at least 22, 23. Taz is doing his job on television, calling the match, and Schiavone was supposed to say something, and I guess he was too busy on his headset with who? Tony Khan, probably finding out the finishes. Yeah. And so Taz was like, what are you doing here, man? And then Schiavone's like, just call the match, pal.
Dude.
Or call the match, dude. And Taz lost his shit.
Yeah.
I was like,
Taz wanted to choke him out for a second, man.
Oh my God. I think he even referenced that. Like, he was like, dude, I'm doing my freaking job here. Like, his New York pissed, like, I'm pissed at this asshole right now.
Yeah.
And you know it's not the first time that's happened. Because you wouldn't have, Taz is a professional. He's been doing this for 20 years, 20-something years. He's 23.
He's excellent. He's the best part of the broadcast team. And then you just saw his emotions boil over because he got talked down to live on air by the fucking teacher's pet, basically.
Schiavone's a bullshit. Yeah, so I lost my respect for Schiavone. I'm no longer going to defend him. So you win. Michael Cole still sucks.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm just saying, like, Schiavone, man, he does not belong out there. Like, the shit he adds to the matches.
Either.
No, man. They got to bring what's his name? It's an Italian sounding name. The guy
Mauro Ranallo.
Oh, he's great. But then you have was it Ian?
Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah.
Allentown. Like he's my neighbor.
Dude, he's a good announcer, man.
It's fucking MAGA though. Fuck him. What?
Oh, is he? What?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I heard that. Of course, I also might be thinking of Joey Styles because I know he is as well. I'm going to delete all that anyway. We don't want to try to disparage. I mean, there's wrestling fans. I'm sure there's a lot of MAGA on there. So.
Oh, definitely. It's at least 50-50.
Yeah. But anyway. Yeah, Ian Riccoboni is actually really good. And like I said before, he goes to my buddy, our guy, John Luxa, who actually, by the way, Vladdy, last thing, he actually sees Ian all the time. He goes in there and shops at his Weiss that John works at. One more thing. They are giving away tickets for AEW Collision in Allentown, PA. Like literally, I got a phone call and I text my buddy John, who I'm going to the show with. I was like, "Hey man, I don't think we need to pay for tickets. I just got offered one. It's like I got the same thing." So somehow they got our mailing list or what have you, and they already are giving away 2 weeks away. They're already giving away filler seats for this particular show.
Wow.
Not looking good for AEW in terms of excitement, but hey, as long as you get that TV deal, buddy, get that TV deal.
So important.
It really is.
So important.
And it's got to be something good, too, or he's not going to be able to pay Okada $4 million a year. Certainly. He'll probably give Ricochet $12 million a year. You see his flips? He's a legend. Do you remember the Prince Puma? What was he called? what was Ricochet's?
Prince Puma, I think. Yeah,
He's Prince Puma. He was so great in All Japan Pro Wrestling. It was so good.
It was one of the greatest performances I ever saw in my life. Ricochet and Will Ospreay. It'll be so good. They wrestled like 100 times before. Jerk off.
There's a famous match. I didn't know of it until this week when the Ricochet stuff started breaking. And I guess it was at PWG. And it's Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, versus Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Matt Sydal. And like I saw, you saw the fans, how they were reacting. Huge indie show pops. Like, I got it. I'm sure if I was there, I'd be like, wow, that was great. And it's like that is the influence that they're looking to get Ricochet to get over there, relive some of those things. All 6 of those guys are there. And then also you're going to have one spectacle with Ospreay, to say the least. But like you were saying earlier, and let me say this as a guy who saw Ricochet win the North American title in person in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Against Adam Cole. I was there, front row. I was amazed. I thought it was an excellent match, right? And I thought there was something to him. But over time, I haven't seen anything in terms of like, how could I put this? We were just talking about Chad Gable. What I saw with Chad Gable, I didn't really see with Ricochet in terms of growth, development. All I saw is a guy who's extremely athletically gifted, okay on the mic, never really, and I'm being kind, but, it's honestly, it's one of those things where if he goes to AEW, yeah, you can put him out there every week and he's going to go and do flips until he gets hurt. And then that's what we got.
To be fair, from what you gather, Ricochet felt stifled creatively in a WWE, to be fair. I don't know if he's going to, with his girlfriend being the darling of the entire company right now as the announcer. Holy shit, dude. People, they make her like the biggest star on the show half the time.
They love her.
Botches half of her friggin' announcements. No Howard Finkel. No, I'm just kidding. I love Samantha Irving. Just joking. She just botched the one with Cody because she was crying.
That was real.
It was emotional. Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
and evidently she, unlike Schiavone, does not know the endings of these matches, and this is all genuine, unlike that hose bag Schiavone.
Well, I don't think he's going to throw shade at WWE, particularly because of that. So I think that's going to be the key. And, I'm not super excited for Ricochet. Honestly, I like Ray Phoenix more. I'll be honest with you, in terms of bell to bell. But then again, Ricochet is going to be able to do different things in AEW that maybe WWE wouldn't let him do, I guess, particularly with his promos. So, and he's going to get a lot more money. Tony's so stupid. He's going to give him a lot more money than WWE will, because Ricochet wasn't a major part of what WWE has been doing the last 2 years.
No.
Yeah, he's been a U.S. champion. Yeah, they gave him opportunity after opportunity. He never really got over. In fact, and it might be because of the reports that he's leaving WWE, but when he popped up and saved Dragunov, the crowd went mild.
Yeah.
and he took a beating and a half. It's a hell of a way to get written off TV if that's what happens. But his contract's up in July, so he might have one more comeback, and then Breaker puts him away for good via match.
Yeah, he got the Rey Mysterio lawn dart treatment into the side of the truck, and then basically
a better bump than Ray did. Holy, that bump looked like it could have killed him.
Yeah, the way he fell, especially, and then he, of course, he went through the windshield of a car. There you go, auto glass. Another nice.
Cry me a river.
Yeah, that's all Braun Breaker should have said after he did that. So.
It was that, and then they did the little shade with all the ex-AEW guys on NXT the next night. 3 jack-off mid-carder, and I actually like them, but they're all mid-carders that they're two never was, they're 2 has-beens that never was, and a guy who never will be. And Cody. That's who was in that screenshot. So that's all I got to say about that. I might be a little bit of an AEW homer in that instance, though. I think you guys are in a great place. Developmental, the same show I made fun of all the time when I was with AEW. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, you're in a great place. Developmental, jerk off. They didn't bring me back and put me on developmental.
Although I'm here today,
so we beat AEW in the ratings, which they did do. Not by a lot. I thought they were going to trounce them. I really did. But either way, AEW still, the problem with AEW is still there. So, all right, Vladdy, we went a little longer. Always fun talking wrestling with you, bud.
Always, man.
So, for all of you, we want to thank Vladdy. For Vladdy, this is Silicon Steve Valley. Thank you so much. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us anywhere you can get us. We're on Spotify or our Apple, or anywhere, really. And let us know what you guys think. Certainly comment on the video. For Vladdy Dowdy, this is Silicon Steve Valley. For High Spots and She Pops, enjoy Clash at the Castle. Here endeth the lesson.